Jealous joins us. He's now running People for the American Way, talking about how Democrats can win in 2020. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. On the line with us is the president of People for the American Way, the visiting scholar at the Annenberg School at Penn, former president of the NAACP, former candidate for governor for Maryland, along with our friend Susie Turnbull. PFAW.org, as in People for the American Way. .org is the website. And of course, I'm talking about Ben Jealous. His Twitter handle, of course, is also Ben Jealous. Ben, welcome back to the program. It's been a while. I'm curious your thoughts on the RNC last night, or the convention last night.
You know, the president used the White House as a prop. And he just has failed. He's failed at every opportunity to heal this nation, to bring it together. He has doubled down and tripled down on his promotion of violence, and seems to have taken no lesson from the fact that a young man who was at one of his events, a young man who clearly was inspired by him, did sort of the kind of logical worst, if you will, in the week when the president brought when the president brought white people who had waved guns at BLM protesters to speak at his convention. This young man goes out with a gun and shoots BLM protesters. It doesn't seem to give the president any pause. I mean, the cynicism, the callousness coming out of this White House, the nearly sociopathic behavior, it just kind of leaves you in shock. Today, Reverend Sharpton has a big counter-protest going on in Washington, D.C., and my thoughts are with all of those protesters. I hope that they're safe, from COVID. I also hope that they're safe from the president's followers.
Yeah, today is the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, and a major march in Washington, D.C. in memory of that, and also, in defiance, essentially, or maybe there's a better word, of this administration. I would like to add my take on this 17-year-old kid who he lived in Illinois. He traveled to Wisconsin with an AR-15 in order to, in my opinion, hunt human beings. This was not a protest. This man is a hunter, the same way that Don Jr. and Eric go out hunting big game, killing leopards and elephants and things. This kid decided he was going to go kill some protesters. He was going to go kill some black people, ideally. I'm not sure the race of the people that he shot, but, that would have been what he would have been expecting, I'm guessing. And, in my opinion, we need to call it that Trump is inspiring hunters who are hunting predators, who are hunting human beings. It's just bizarre. I'm wondering if you think that there's a message for voters outside of Trump's base in what we've seen over the last 4 days with this convention.
Yeah, I think that he brought black speakers there whose job it was really to try to assure white people that the president is not a racist, and it seemed to be sort of a core message that he's really fighting for black people. I don't think there's really many black folks who believe that, but it's an old kind of trope in the Republican Party to put up a black person whose job it is, while it appears to be trying to recruit blacks into their party while we continue to flee their party in droves. And we're now an almost infinitesimally small number, while having these black speakers appear to be trying to appeal to blacks, what they're actually doing is trying to assure suburban white women that the president isn't as racist as virtually every black person in the country says he is. Like 99.5% of black people seem to think this president is. So we saw that dance. We saw the president try to. The stock market's been up and down and all over the place, and we saw him try to really take credit for this economy. I think that was another message. My big concern, Tom, is that what we're not seeing on the Democratic side, quite frankly, is we're not seeing the Biden campaign invest in fighting for Latino voters. People for the American Way, ever since 2012, we have been the primary outfit out there really fighting for Latino swing voters. And we keep hoping it's the last cycle that we need to be running statewide ads on Spanish language radio, Spanish language television through our Latino Votes program. It's ultimately led at the board level by Dolores Huerta on our board. It was her brainchild. That the Democratic Party, that the presidential campaigns will just get it right finally. It would only cost up $15 million, to put it in perspective, to really saturate the airwaves and mail, every possible Latino swing voter in the battleground states. And yet we're not even seeing that level of commitment. Last time I looked at the ad spend, Trump had outspent Biden on Spanish language radio and television 10-1. And why is that important? It's important because if you look at Wisconsin, for instance, which people don't think of as a particularly, having a particularly large Latino population, the Latino voting population in Wisconsin is 6 times Trump's margin of victory. And what Trump knows, and we're not paying attention to enough, is right now he's running about 40% with Latino voters. By comparison, if you look at past cycles that Democrats have won, if Latino voters vote 70% for Democrats, if the Republicans down around 30 or even 28, the Democrat tends to win. If Latino voters, whether it's a statewide or whether it's a national election, are backing a Republican around 40%, the Republican tends to win. And so that's what's keeping me up at night. And we did see, some appeals to Latino voters from Trump, the RNC, but what we've also seen in parallel is Trump buying a ton of ads, Spanish language radio, Spanish language television, and outspending Biden 10-1, who still doesn't seem to get it. And that worries me.
Yeah, they're also doing it in Spanish language ads on Facebook as well. It's scary stuff. You have been inside the Democratic Party. I mean, you ran for governor. You've been outside the Democratic Party. I'm curious your thoughts on this word Democrat being used as the descriptor for our political party. Back in the 1950s, Joe McCarthy said, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically he said, don't ever say Democratic Party. That sounds too nice. That sounds like, one of the ideals of America. Instead, say Democrat Party with the emphasis on the rat. And that got revived in the late 90s by Newt Gingrich, and it has become basically the religion of Fox News and the Republican Party, the Republicans. Yeah. And we saw literally the President of the United States last night mispronouncing the name of a party that is as old as the Republic. The Democratic Party was started by Thomas Jefferson. Why is the Democratic Party not responding to this? Why is there not more outrage? It's reached the point now where I'm hearing news commentary. I heard this on NPR the other day. Somebody referred to the Democrat Party. And I'm like, what the hell? Tell me your thoughts on this.
It's the Republicans are very good at framing, and they're very disciplined at pushing it out. And I think what's far more important for our party is to really get clear about what our case to working people is. And there is, Biden shows every sign of being the most progressive president since FDR. Bernie himself has said that. Obviously, Bernie would have been more progressive, but Biden won, and he has shown a real willingness to evolve, to listen, to pull in the likes of Bernie and AOC to advise him. And that's a really good sign that we should all embrace. And yet, we're not hearing enough of, I think, is just a real targeted message towards working class brown folks, working class black folks, working class white folks, about what the difference that our party plans to make in their lives. And that's been the message, typically coming from Bernie's campaign the last couple of presidential primaries that has shown the ability to really go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump's message. And that's, I think, what we need, what we need more of. But at this stage, I got to tell you, God forbid Trump wins, it'll be because we didn't fight hard enough for Latinos, and we didn't do enough to push young folks out. We at People For are very laser focused on both, but it's what we need to be doing as a party.